L'air de poison, or the poison aria from the extraordinary opera Romeo et Juliet by Maestro Gounod. Um, before I get into the details of what I wanted to share with you today, I wanted to tell you in advance that as we are approaching the end of season 7, the dissection season, I am already planning what other seasons can be the next ones, and one of them is working or sharing with you the most difficult areas for a given tessitura. We have explained earlier that, of course, a soprano singing Turandot is going to find impossible to sing Olympia, while a soprano with enough coloratura who is able to sing Olympia is impossible for her to sing Turandot. So, and I wanted to refer you to the dozens, if not hundreds, of channels on YouTube and on many places that claim to have the five most difficult arias for tenors. I have explained a good number of times that if you want to compare the difficulties of a tenor leggero to the difficulties of, and on the same ranking, the difficulties for a heavy tenor such as Othello, it's simply not fair. So, though that would be the plan, to maybe build some episodes on sharing with you the most difficult areas for a given tessitura, and this one clearly makes it into one of the most difficult areas for a soprano. So first thing I want to make a dissection on the tops of the most difficult, and this would be one of them. Now, nextly, I wanted to share with you that we are going to go back to the explanation of why it is difficult, and we are going to use three examples. For that purpose, we are inviting today three sopranos who will be performing for us their own versions, their own performances of the L'air de Poison, as I just explained. And the three are going to be live. Remember that also in this podcast we have preference towards live content because live is truth. Studio is edited and it's simply false. Anybody can do anything perfect in a studio, but what matters is what you see live. So let's start with Madame Anya Netrebko, very well known soprano by everybody here. And let's listen to her a little before I make more comments on that. Truth is that she doesn't make it bad. Of course not, as we have explained many times that people really exaggerate. And I wanted you to hear to this part because this part is the continuous use of this writing of the opera. This is what I wanted to explain with more detail. What makes it difficult, again, because people say, oh, it has a high note, then it is difficult. Oh, it doesn't have a si bemol, then it is not difficult. Ah, it has three high Cs, then it is difficult. The difficulty of an aria depends not only of the highest note that is sung. Many times the passage before the high note is what it's more complicated because it tires the voice of the singer before he actually goes for the high note. Or it is a super long aria, or the whole construction of the aria makes it tiring even if it doesn't have a really high note. So it really drives me crazy when I read, oh yeah, it is a difficult aria because it has an E flat. No, it is super difficult because the soprano has been singing for over 8 minutes. That's what makes it way more difficult than just the high note. And this thing that Anya Netrebko just did, and let me bring it back a little so that you try to pay more attention to this part. starting here. Because the soprano has to go oh, this before she has to do this quick ornament, which by the way, Anna Netrebko's really I didn't like. I think she was pushing her voice too much because she has the right voice to do this quick ornament and that it sounds nice, but it sounds too tiring, too tight. I think she was putting too much pressure on her. Of course, it is a difficult aria, so it is not like singing other roles. Also, this aria requests that or demands that the soprano goes often to the low register, and remember that the combination of low register, continuous middle area, and some high notes, it's usually very, very difficult. I am highlighting now the part that we just discussed. Verse toi-même et c'est vraiment and then reaches the high C. And Anya Netrebko really didn't do this part nicely, to be sincere. And as I was just saying, her voice seems too forced for this aria. Maybe she wasn't on her best voice that time because I think she has done better. This matches perfectly the range of a lyrical soprano. But why don't we go for the second example that I wanted to share with you? And this time it is going to be soprano Ana Maria Gonzalez, Spanish soprano. And let me play a little part of her so that I can share you my thoughts. Of course, we can all hear that Ana Maria Gonzalez's voice is way much powerful and solid than Anya Netrebko's. I mean, you're listening to it yourself. But my hesitations on the performance of hers does not have to do with the stamina of her voice. Uh, I think it's the opposite, the other way around. She did it way too dramatical. Of course, this is a heavy aria, uh, not easy to sing, but I think she gave too much. I think she really didn't understand Gounod's style, French opera, and she sings it more as it was a Puccini's aria. That's what I don't like in regards to the style. Of course, there are also comments in regards to her pronunciation. And listen, she's going to do the same passage that we compared in Anya de Trepkos. Of course, the way she wraps up her aria is just spectacular, but it proves my point of what I was telling you. It is, from my perspective, way too much voice when she says at the end, "Oh, Romeo," and she's already full power when she says, "Je vis à toi." Let me put it on the screen because I wanted to point it. Je vois, no, je vis, je vois. It says, Mon Romeo, je vois. And there was a trill that she really didn't do before going for her high note. And mm, as I was just saying, I feel this is way too much power because she says, "Yo, and that's too much power. Remember that even though it is dramatic, Juliet is a young woman, so I think there has to be more fragility. I also understand from a technical point of view why she went already full power Yamasa, because it is much easier when you're already mounted on that position in singing Yamasa instead of being more fragile and even quieter in the volume. Yamasa, because then she needs to pour more stamina at the end and the voice may fail. So I understand the whys, but I don't. But still, I don't share that she did it. I am not saying that Anna Netrebko's version is bad. I am not saying that Ana Maria Gonzalez version is bad, because in fact I have great respect for Ana Maria Gonzalez. Um, that I've had the chance of watching her live, and she's a spectacular soprano. I think she just went way too far on this one, but why don't we go now for the final piece or the other version that I wanted to share with you, and that has to do with another not that well-known singer, but also Spanish soprano. And as I was saying, and I am sharing already, the recording that I found on the internet from a song by Ainhoa Arteta, and I wanted to share a little more with you in regards to why I like Ainhoa Arteta's version more. Ainhoa Arteta is a solid Spanish soprano who started her career, or more known in the 90s. I think she's still active. But what I like about her voice or rendition of the very difficult Poison's aria is that she doesn't have the excessive voice as Ana Maria Gonzalez, and she doesn't fall in trouble as Anya Netrebko does when trying to go for the aria. So she has a very beautiful color of lyrical soprano, and she has also something else that is very important when going for this kind of arias, for this kind of music. And that thing is that she is smart. She doesn't go for competing with the orchestra, which is important. She doesn't want to overdo anything. She doesn't want to push her voice too much as Netrebko did here. She doesn't want to sound too Puccinian. She, from my perspective, she did a very careful job in using her resources, and I would like to remark it again, her resources. What matters here is not that you have the most beautiful voice. What is not needed here is that you have the best technique, not that you have the greatest high notes. If you do the three of them and you have them, well, man, that's pretty good. But if you don't have any super remarkable quality in any of the areas, what you have to do is to sing smartly. And that's what Ainhoa does. She chooses to sing smartly using her own resources. She does not overdo anything. She does not pretend to hold the notes longer than she can. She does not pretend to make her voice heavier. What she does is that she studies the role, she studies the aria, and with her own resources, she does what she can do best without pushing too much, without making the voice way too lighter, without sounding like a Puccinian drama, without losing entirely the style of Maestro Gounod. So many times, what we need is a an intelligent singer rather than just someone who claims to be the best singer. Comes the part that we compare to Anna Netrebko's. If you notice, both the ornaments are much better executed with a much more comfortable tone of the voice. And the drama is growing. She doesn't stop singing. Drama keeps growing. If you notice, she skipped the viol. C'est faire outrage. Verse, but the soprano keeps singing and singing and singing with barely small pauses. That's so fatiguing and keeps going higher than an F. Voila! A difficult aria sung with intelligence and with your own resources.